Yes. So now we are moving to our second part of our training session, a very, very important one that's on learning disabilities or the learning difficulties what children have. Okay, so this is our part two session. It's a very pleasure to welcome you back to this highly anticipated training session on learning disabilities and preschoolers. And definitely, yes, you would have a lot of questions, but I would want you to write me a note on what is your, the questions that you actually want. Maybe I'll send it as a voice note, replying it back. Okay. So, yes, challenges we learned in our classroom management, but as preschool teachers, it is also your responsibility to shape every child. But what happens, there are certain unique challenges which you cannot manage. Correct? So, somebody was also telling me that, I have a child who has autism. I have a child who has hyperactiveness in my class. Now, these are unique challenges. Certain challenges as a teacher, you were able to do that, but if there are unique challenges, how would you do? Are there any key indicators? And we call them as learning disabilities in early childhood. A beautiful chapter, a beautiful classroom strategy wherein you teachers, if you know about handling, managing, addressing, and collaborating with the parents and the specialists to tell about this is what your child is going through, you would have done a good job. And this training will just give you a brief about what it could be. Okay. So most of it is what has been given by the experiences of whatever we have it in our classes. So we see many toddlers joining every year. We have seen a lot of children who come with learning disabilities. Through all the experiences of this 15 years, training more than 15,000 teachers all across the globe, I've put this in a very simple way to each one of you. Otherwise, this training alone is a 21-day program where you learn, you get certified about how do you manage and work with children who have learning disabilities in preschools. So let's understand what is a learning disability. Please note down. It's a neurological condition. When I say neurological condition, is it related to my brain? Something which wiring miss hua hai? Could be. There could be a possibility. Now, what is that difficulty that child is having? Now, what happens here? Now, I'm trying to speak to you. Only if you understand what am I trying to speak, it gets into my brain. I'm able to process what Divya is saying. And if I want to reply back, I will reply. So I have to have the ability to process, to understand, and to express the information. If the child is not able to do this, they will have learning disabilities. They will have learning difficulties. Now, since we are working with young children, what their difficulties can be? Financial problems? No. Time management? No. They will have simple problems. Problems in reading, problems in writing, problem listening to the teacher, problem in speaking, problem with motor skills, problem solving certain math problems in the classes. So they will have these basic problems. So this is what we are actually going to work on. Now, as teachers, if you would have faced these difficulties, we're going to be seeing further on how do we segregate all of them. So what is your first duty? As many of your teachers also pointed me, ma'am, I have this child with this learning difficulty. Now, as a teacher, what are you doing? You're providing support. You're giving them intervention programs. How can you support? What is the model that you're giving that? But still, you're facing challenges because you are not a special educator. You're an educator. You know about the learning disability, but you do not know the ways to model and work with that particular child because you're not a special educator. So you would have potential challenges. Your principal would tell you, I gave you this, but why are you still not able to do that? Because we are not skilled to work in that particular area. But what are you skilled at? To observe, to point out and say this child has this problem in identifying. One is on the development. What is the development? I give something to write. I give them something to color. The child might have difficulty even to hold a pencil. So the child has problem in the fine motor. You can say hand muscles are not developed properly. Correct? Now the teacher says something, the child is not able to speak. The teacher says, ma'am, this boy has a language delay. The teacher is asking them to jump. The child is unable to jump. The teacher is asking them to run. The child is unable to run. So there are difficulties on the gross motor skills. So the teacher recognized all this. So where do I point this? Is a child a 2 year or a 3 year or a 4 year or a 5 year? You have to first understand that. If the child is 1 year, yes, they have difficulty to hold. It is okay. If the child is 3 year, has difficulty in holding the pencil, maybe the child is not introduced to pencil. If the child is 4 year and unable to hold a pencil and write any patterns, that means the child has difficulty in the fine motor skills. So you should be able to retrospect based on the years. Okay, this is the first thing that you do. Is every teacher able to do this? All of us are capable of doing this. Challenges. Children do not understand colors. They can't recognize colors. They can't recognize shapes. They can't recognize patterns. Write down which child is not able to do that. Raise a red flag. Write it in the red color only. So it is a red flag. I need improvements over here. This is my first observation. The second observation is like, you give them instructions. Children, open to page number 23. They can't follow this instruction. Children, close your books. Let's go to the lunch break. They can't follow this instruction. If you give them multiple instruction, after math period, we're going to do this and then we are writing that. Multiple instructions, children can't do it. They lose their focus every short period of time. They can't remember the sequence. Like say the teacher would have given a story, Lion and the Mouse. Who came and helped the lion? The teacher has told, but still the child is unable to understand who came and helped. They can't remember the sequence of that story. So whenever we ask questions like, why did it happen? What happened? To whom it happened? If the child is not able to give answers, there is a problem on cognitive development. Please note down, there's a developmental issue on cognitive skills. The child cannot focus on that. They will have difficulty in remembering sequences, routines, simple instructions. So as a teacher, you can blindly write, yeah, this boy has a lot of issue on the cognitive development. They might not even have communication, answering questions. You ask something, they don't answer you back. Sometimes they avoid, totally they avoid. Not only with the teachers, even with their friends. Sometimes what teachers will do, they're very smart. Teachers are very smart. They're like, okay, the child is not speaking to me. Maybe the child is speaking to the friends. Let me observe that. The teacher goes and does a quiet observation. When they're playing, are they talking to their friends? Some children talk. That means that the teacher understands, oh, this boy is able to communicate. But only with me, he is not communicating. So that means that flag is gone. Now, what do? You try to build a rapport with that child. You try to have a verbal interaction with the child. So slowly, the child will try to communicate. But if the child is not communicating with the peers also, you ask the parent. Is the child talking at home? The parent might say, yes, the child is talking. You can ask them to give a video or a recording. So at least as a teacher, you are satisfied knowing that this child does not have communication problem. If they have, it's a speech delay. They have to see. Now coming to the other thing is like they are not able to work in groups. Somebody was also saying they're very quiet in groups. This is all related to their social behavior. Why is a child not socially getting along with the friends? Is because of multiple things. They're never used to be in a group, or they don't want to be in the group, or they're anxious to be in the group, or they don't like something. Okay. So anything which gets into tantrums, withdrawals, anxiety is all related to my emotions. So I have to work making sure that the child is emotionally happy. If they are not, then making friends becomes difficult. Engaging with friends becomes difficult. Group activities becomes difficult. They might be introverts most of the time. So this can affect their daily routines in the classroom also. So this is related to my social emotional behavior. Now, what about my PT sessions, physical exercises? Can he run? Can he walk? Can he do all of that? Definitely yes. But there are hyperactive children in the classes. They keep rocking, they keep flapping, they keep running in the classes. There are so many repetitive movements. They keep banging on the desks and chairs. This is not normal. This is not normal. This is related to certain sensory stimuli. They cannot take multiple stimulation at the same time. When the teacher is asking them to look at the board and write, we are using two senses, sense of touch, sense of sight. So that is overstimulation for them. So what happens? They start fidgeting, they start making these sounds, they can flap and they make noises. Have you observed any children like that? So they definitely have physical challenges. They are very sensitive to sensory stimuli. So they work on these repetitive movements. Okay, so we need to observe that. Academic skills also, some children struggle. They don't know letters, they don't know numbers, they can't identify the letters and the sounds. Even holding pencil becomes difficult for them. Even if the teacher is giving them instructions, draw a standing line, then a sleeping line, another standing line, and then a sleeping line makes a square, the child cannot follow the instructions. Mirror imaging, writing the number 7 in a reverse order. All these are academic skills that we actually have. So you teachers, what you have to see is like over a period of time, see the pattern. This week also he is doing this. Next week, is he better or is the same? Still the same? See for one more week. After 3 weeks, you need to give an assessment to the parent. Because by 3 weeks, the child should have changed. If the child wouldn't have changed, you will definitely need some kind of checklist. Correct? So we have to work on those screenings and assessments, and you give it for your children to actually work. In that situation, what else we can actually do? We can ask our children to collaborate with therapists. They go with the occupational therapist, child psychologists whenever they are required, and we will have to evaluate and give us all the information. Okay, so what do we work over here? As a teacher, I learned that I have to document, I have to collaborate with the families, and at the same time, I should also be able to work with the specialists to be in a part of this process. So this is very, very essential for me to work on. Okay, so let's wait for them to